gentlemen, I'm Justin Chapdelaine. I'm in the offense corner at the University of Sherbrooke. It's quite an honor to be here. I don't know how I'm going to follow up from a Vanier Cup champion like Coach Barry. Coach Barry, some of you may not know, but I actually worked with Coach Barry in 2016 when I was coaching with the University of Calgary, and a great individual, a great teacher, and I got to learn a lot from him. I just want to give a shout out to Coach Dumulong for organizing this, putting this all together. This is such a great project that he has done, and a lot of great coaches that are involved in this. A lot of great coaches that I've been involved with, that I've worked with, that I've worked for, who I've been associated with, and it's a really a special thing, especially during this time as well. It's great that collectively as a group we've kind of come together and found an alternate way to kind of just share information and just make each other better. So today I'm supposed to be talking about an RPO concept. I know Coach Dumulong had put that it's an RPO scheme. It's not necessarily a scheme that we're going to talk about in the box. It's more so going to be just a route combination that I like to use and that I have used throughout my entire career, starting when I was playing at University of Queens. And it's been a play that has been on our ready list ever since I've really started playing. And so I've seen the evolution of how it worked at the university level where I played at Queens to even at the professional level where I was working with my father, Jacques. So it was, it's a play that I'm going to introduce to you guys. It's an option pattern. There's quite a bit of options and basically what our receivers are going to do, or they're going to take what the defense is going to give us. I'm just going to ask everybody to just kind of hold questions till the end of the presentation. I'm going to try to do my best to make sure that the video is clear. I'm going to show you a couple clips of ourselves, our team, what we did last year, and then also I'm going to show you some clips of the Toronto Argonauts. My father, who coached there last year, he ran the play as well. So I'm going to show you how the professionals kind of ran it and how they took it on. So one thing, just a little tidbit here. I understand everyone's here. They want to learn. They want to get better and whatnot. I'm going to say a lot of things. Probably most of you are going to see some of the stuff. You've already seen some of the stuff that I'm going to present. But what I've come to learn from clinics is, when coaches present something, sometimes they just inspire a thought, and that thought will give you just an idea to create a new play, a new term. One thing, I've been watching a lot of clinics during this pandemic, and the American coaches, man, I got to tell you, they have a lot of great expressions that I want to use all the time. So they do a really good job with that, and just a little bit of tidbits of information, what they say. I try to take it up. I try to take a note of it. Again, most of you might see the stuff that you've already seen before from a game. Maybe you guys run this play your guys selves, but I'm going to show you how I coach it at the University of Sherbrooke and how our guys come to know and understand it. So I'm just going to pop over to my PowerPoint right here. I'm going to share my screen first and foremost. I got to do that. So I hope everyone can see my screen right now. I think that's good. I hope so. I hope everyone can see that. Coach Dumulong, est-ce capable de voir mon écran?
Yeah, that's good.
Good. So I'm just going to get my laser pointer right here. Okay. This down right here. Good. So again, we're going to talk about an option pattern that we typically use in the RPO game. And when I say the RPO game, there's different styles of RPOs, and some of the stuff that I'm going to present, again, guys, may be tedious. RPOs have been really popularized in the past decade, and really a lot of this information that you're going to see, you guys may already know, you guys may already understand. I'm going to show you different various ways to do RPOs. I'm going to get on the drawing board a little bit and show you some of the plays that we like to do. And yeah, that's pretty much how we're going to get into or step into right now. First and foremost, I'm just going to show you the lineup of what I'm going to discuss today. And so we're going to start off with my coaching philosophy. One thing that I love when coaches talk about their coaching philosophy, who they are, what their identity is. I think that's it's great stuff when you can see that and you can kind of take some of that information, probably add it or kind of remodify your coaching philosophy. So I'm going to show you what mine is. We're going to talk about different RPO types, all the various types that you can really do. I know Coach Barry talked about defending tight ends, fullbacks in the backfield and whatnot. And so it's not necessarily I want to go against what he's saying, but you can find certain ways to kind of expose how he may have defended tight end types as well, or defending tight ends and how they block within the run scheme. The prelude to the route that I'm going to talk about, we're just going to talk about a little bit of a history of the route. That section right here, this history of the route, I'm not too sure if you guys were present, but my father Jacques had just did a clinic this past week and he briefly spoken about this route. And so I'm going to talk about the route and how we teach it and basically show how we kind of evolutionize into the feature pattern, which will be our last section. And basically what I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to show you a couple of clips. And let's get into it. Yeah. Okay, my coaching philosophy really, guys, is I truly believe us as individuals on this earth, it's our job to really service other individuals. And us being coaches, I think it's our job to put our players in a good position, put them in a position where they can find and achieve the success. And I think that really has a humbling effect, not only on us, but also on the other party, the player themselves, or the other individual themselves. And I truly believe that this is something that I carry on into my life. I always want to help other individuals, and I want them to become better people. I want them to grow. And I think that's something that's really relevant in today's days and age. That's something that I think a lot of more people can do today. With what's happening in the world right now, there's a lot of injustices and what's going on. If we can help each other out and just make each other better people, I think that'll pay dividends. One thing that I don't appreciate from a player is I don't like complacency. We always preach about effort, and giving effort will always lead to success within the team. And if we have individual effort from everybody, that's going to help us collectively. So I talk about it a lot of time, meet me in the middle. And I truly believe that a coachable athlete will see the service that you're giving. And basically, when they experience the success from the service that you're giving them, they'll want more. And they'll have that culture and they'll have that attitude. And that'll kind of just be contagious towards other players. And that'll develop something really, really, really amazing. So that's basically my coaching philosophy, guys. We're going to talk about our RPO, guys. I'm going to talk about the definition right here. And again, for those who have been living under a rock, I just got to do it. I got to make sure you guys have a good understanding of it. There might be some people here who is listening to my presentation who has no idea what an RPO is. So I'm going to share it and talk to you guys. Basically, my definition, the simple definition of an RPO, guys, is basically a run-pass option. And basically the quarterback through an action with a ball carrier, I'm not going to get into specifics and say necessarily a tailback, but any kind of ball carrier, he's going to perform an action with that ball carrier, and he's going to read a conflict defender. Basically this decision can have pre-snap or post-snap based on the different styles of an RPO. Okay, and what is a conflict defender? Well, basically a conflict defender is anyone who can really add a numerical disadvantage to the run game scheme that you guys are performing. Okay, we want to stress that conflict defender by making him or her, okay, misexecute or make a mistake within their assignment. And what we have to do in order to do RPOs is we got to rep the death out of it. We got to make sure that the people who are important within that scheme, within that game, within that play, they really have a good understanding. They have to have a good recognition of defenses. They have to have a good idea of identifying that conflict defender pre-snap, and then being able to perform using sharp eyes within that play to making a good decision in that play. Okay, so the first RPO type that we're going to talk about, this is a first level read right here. I call it a zone read. This is something that's very popular in the Canadian football game. Because the defensive line, there is that 1 yard buffer between the offensive lineman and the defensive lineman. This is a play that has high success. And so basically, again, this is a post-snap, first-level read where the quarterback reads the end man on the line of scrimmage. And so as you guys see right here, basically we see the two end mans on the line of scrimmage against this front in this formation of a 3-by-2. The two end mans on the line of scrimmage are the rush and the quick. So depending on the way that we want to run this play, just get my marker right here. So if we're going right side, okay, right side run scheme right here, basically quarterback should be reading this guy right here. And these receivers within the zone read scheme could run possible patterns, or depending on your personnel, maybe you have an athletic quarterback, you could ride this action with the tailback, and basically you can run with them. Okay, something that's extremely popular. Sorry guys, I'm just gonna erase this. What's extremely popular within zone reads is basically having a split zone where basically one receiver, one inside receiver, he's going to come across the formation right here, and he's going to run a little flat route. And quarterback should read end man on the line of scrimmage, and based off his reaction, he may give the ball or he may keep the ball. And typically with the zone read action, you want to get your quarterback on the move. Okay, and thus with the quarterback on the move, typically your routes with your receivers are going to most likely be outbreaking. It's not necessarily that is the rule. You can obviously do different types of routes depending on which side you are rolling to. I've seen hooks, I've seen slants, I've seen everything, really. It all depends on how you want to teach and all you want to do. Again, guys, I'm not going to talk too much specifically about the techniques of the offensive lineman here, the action with the quarterback and the tailback, how the quarterback reads the defensive end, when to give, when to pull. I'm just going to basically talk about these types. Okay. The second type that we're going to talk about is a second level box defender. Okay, so typically this is a post snap second level read. The quarterback is going to read one of these box defenders, or basically he can read as well. It doesn't have to necessarily be a box defender. It could be a defensive back who is outside of the box, and I'm going to get into that a little bit more into detail. So we want to read one of these box defenders, and most typically within this scheme right here, you're going to have your offensive linemen stay on the first level. They're not going to climb up to the second level to block all of these linebackers. So just an example right here, if I had an inside zone RPO scheme right here, typically your backside tackle would do a turnout block right here. You'd have a down block, some sort of double team right here, going up to the second level, and your tackle is basically right on this guy right here, all while reading this guy. And off of that scheme, with the action with the tailback, typically you have in-breaking routes with this RPO type. But again, you're not limited to that. You can really do whatever you want based off of what the defense is going to give you. And honestly, we're going to talk about the feature pattern a little bit later on. And you'll see that, this pattern, this option pattern is a combination of an outbreaking, and sometimes it could be an in-breaking as well. And I'll show you and explain the rules to you in a second. Another second level box, Coach Barry had talked about basically those defending tight end sets. And, I saw a lot of add-ins basically when a fullback or a tight end was adding himself into the box to perform an action to help out the run scheme. If you have defenders that are being really heavy into that run scheme, you can tell, or you can develop a scheme where you can read that defender who's adding himself into the box. Typically when you have a backfield of two or more backs or tight ends, whatever the case may be, the box is going to be a little bit heavier. And based off of your run scheme, however you're going to teach it, whatever you're going to do, if you have one of those backs control, so let's say a backside defensive end, or do a split zone action right here, you can say, you can say to your quarterback while performing the action to read the possibility of a guy who's going to track this fullback. So if he's going to get himself really hard into the box right here, now you have a numerical disadvantage within that run scheme. You can tell your quarterback to read this guy, pull the ball, and throw whatever concept you are looking to throw. Something that's getting really popular right now especially in the States. And I wouldn't be surprised to see something like this coming up pretty soon. I know that there is a couple of teams that kind of ran it last year within our conference, are these glance RPOs. And typically what glance RPOs are basically, it's an RPO on a second level defender, but it's to the play side run. So if we had inside zone to the left, okay, and let's say that our backside fullback right here, he's gonna go and perform a backside seal block on this backside and man on the line of scrimmage. And we ask this tailback right here to perform inside zone to the left. While performing this action, the quarterback is gonna keep his eyes basically on this defender. And what he does, basically, if he's going to be hard into that box right there, you can ask whatever 5-step slants, whatever the case may be, to kind of put the ball over top of his head into this exposed area. So that's something that's really popular as well. I'm also talking about these RPOs, guys, because when we look at some of the examples of the film, I'm going to bring up some of these examples. I'm going to show you some of the examples of what we ran and what we did at the University of Sherbrooke as well. So you'll be able to see it. And it'll be a little bit easier for me to explain it as well. I don't want to take up too much time. The one issue when you're rolling a clinic is you never want to be too short on time, or you never want to be too long on time. So I want to make sure that I'm doing a good enough job to make sure that I can teach all the good coaching points right here, and that you guys have a good understanding. This next RPO type that we're going to talk about, I call it a surface read. So this is a pre-snap decision. And this is based off of formation. As we see in the example right here, this is a formation of a 2x3, where the rover, I know you guys probably don't know what a rover linebacker is. Honestly, the rover linebacker is a Sam linebacker. I call him a rover linebacker because in our league, guys, most of the rover linebackers like to move around a lot. Okay, so basically, if we have a numerical advantage to one side of the formation, basically the quarterback can abandon an action with the tailback, and he can make a nice little now screen out to one of the wide receivers. And so as we see here with this example, this is 2x3 where the rover decided to stay to the field side. And typically you'll have your will linebacker may bump out or the free safety may cheat. But if these two guys are going to play at a leverage, which is far away from the recipient of the screen, hey, you know what? We're going to go and take advantage of that empty space, and we're going to put the ball in the hands of an athlete, and we're going to make sure that our receiver is going to be aggressive, and they're going to block in a good position to make sure that we can gain some quick yards fast. Okay. Typical ways that you kind of cheat from this, I'm a guy that loves 2x3. I find that we put a lot of pressure, we stress a lot of pressure on this guy and the defenses. And another formation that really helps out as well is a 4x1, or you can do a 1x4 as well. The next type of RPO that I know Jacques, my father, ran a lot of last year at with the Argos. I call this a softness read. Okay, so within your scheme, you have a run game scheme, whether it be inside zone, gap blocking, outside zone, whatever the case may be. And basically, pre-snap, the quarterback, he may recognize softness before the snap, and what he'll do at times is he'll abandon the mesh with the tailback. He'll take the ball and he'll jump one and throw one of these hooks or one of the short routes. I know that Jacques at times did a lot of now screens as well, and based off down and distance, you get in a situation where it's second and short, and for some reason your cornerback is playing really soft right here. Hey, I'm going to throw the ball out to this now screen, and he's going to catch the ball, and he's going to get yards quickly fast. This is also another great alternative option if you have run scheme, inside zone, and let's say your receivers, if you develop a run game scheme where you demand your receivers to pick up blitzers off the outside edges of the box, if they're doing a poor job, okay, you can tell these guys, hey, or you can change your philosophy to say, hey, you know what? Instead of asking our guys to be in a good position to block what I like to call edge pressure, these guys are going to run curls, okay? And quarterback, if you recognize that, when you catch the snap, make sure that you're in a good position to go and throw that open space immediately, okay? So that's another RPO type. So we're going to talk about just a little bit of the brief history of the pattern that we're going to talk about in the end. So I'm going to start with a pattern right here. This is a pattern that dates back to a long time ago. I know that when Jacques was an intern with the Argonauts in the early 90s, Adam Rita was the head coach, and I think what he called this concept was the 0-7 concept or something like that. I don't like to use a numerical system when I talk about routes. I give them more so names. I'm just going to call this concept right here a rub concept. Okay, we're going to focus primarily into the boundary. Okay, so we're going to just imagine that your quarterback is here to the right. Okay, this is an outbreaking rub concept. The wide receiver, basically, we're going to give him a corner route. The slot back inside of him, the W receiver, what he's going to do is he's going to run basically a 4-6 speed cut out. And what we're going to tell the X receiver, basically, he's going to split these two defenders, okay? But another thing that I really like to teach with this concept is I teach these guys the contour of these two defensive backs into the boundary, okay? We want, obviously, this X receiver to be a subtle presence on the outside edge of the halfback because we want to open up this W receiver. We want to – I ask my quarterbacks all the time, if you're on a fast break – in a basketball game, what are you going to do? Are you going to do a layup, or are you going to pull up to shoot a 3-pointer? You know, and our guys most of the time say, yeah, layup. At times you want to have a quarterback who's going to say, hey, coach, I'm going to pull that fucking 3-point shot. So, hey, it all depends, but, I like those quick gimmies, okay? So, basically, if I introduce this concept to my receivers and we ran it into the boundary, I'm going to tell the X receiver, in his stance and his alignment, he's going to split the numbers on the sideline, okay? And then he's going to have a good idea of what that halfback is doing, okay? So pre-snap, he has to have good pre-snap eyes, okay? He's going to look at this guy's contour. If this guy, okay, is 6 yards or less, he needs to reduce his split, okay, to have a good angle to go and attack outside edge, outside shoulder of this halfback, okay? Now, as he goes to attack right there, we want to tell the W receiver, okay, to help out your teammate, go ahead and give just a slight inside stem just to help that guy out, okay? For some reason, if they're playing man-to-man right here, if he stems just slightly ever so inside right there, the halfback should stem inside just a little bit as well, okay? And so now when this occurs right here, hopefully we have the X, okay, in a good position to be in the way of that halfback, okay? We don't necessarily want the halfback to go over top his routes, okay, to defend this route right here, because if he does that and he does that well, the cornerback will be in a good position to really defend this corner route, okay? So that's why we ask this guy to reduce his split when that halfback is aligned about 6 yards or less just away from the line of scrimmage, okay? So as you can see right here within the coaching points right here, X receiver must understand the depth of W's cover defender and may tighten his alignment depending the depth of the halfback, okay? So we say the lower the halfback, okay, the tighter pre-snap alignment in order to attack the halfback's leverage, okay? Now, if we have a situation where that halfback is playing soft, okay? So you play against teams where they play match, where a majority of the time, or match, or you're playing against teams that play man and they're playing inside-out banjo technique. These guys, the defenders have to play soft in order to read routes, okay? So basically, if this halfback is playing around 7 to 8 yards plus away from the line of scrimmage, okay, the X receiver now in this scenario, he does not need to skate down the line of scrimmage, okay? We do not we do not want him to skate down the line of scrimmage. I want this X receiver right here to actually just release from his initial alignment, okay? And I want him to take a nice little inside stem right here to go split these two defenders, okay? And while he's doing that, okay, we hope, okay, that the X receiver will be in the pathway of the halfback, okay? And again, we're going to tell the W receiver right here, just a slight inside stem just to kind of influence that guy and to go out breaking on this route. This is a real simple, easy read for the quarterback. This is a smash concept. It's just another way of doing it. And basically, his eyes are going to be on that cornerback. So basically, while performing this route, you should be able to be right, okay? If the corner wants to jump down on the out route, the X receiver now has good leverage on the outside shoulder of the halfback to be able to be open right here. If the corner wants to drop high and the halfback wants to play the out, hopefully we have that presence in his way so that we can throw that out route, that nice little layup out to the W receiver. Okay. Now, there's a situation that could arrive, okay, which is a rare situation, okay? If the corner's in a pressing situation against the X receiver, okay, we're going to tell the X receiver to keep the same rules, okay? He's still going to have a good eye, okay, on the softness of the halfback, okay? So within this situation right here, in this example, as we look at this play, if this is the line of scrimmage right here, okay, we're going to say that the halfback is 5 yards away from the line of scrimmage. We're going to tell the X receiver, okay, he's going to skate down the line of scrimmage, okay? If the corner follows him inside, okay, instead of taking an inside release on this guy, if he takes an inside release, there's a possibility that the corner could push him inside and the halfback could play over top. Instead of taking an inside release right here, just before the snap, try to get an outside release on this cornerback, okay? Get back outside on this guy and go ahead and push his outside shoulder and push that defender towards the pathway of the halfback, okay? When we do that, if they want to play this style of man defense right here, okay, the W maybe has to be just a little bit more patient because this X receiver is working towards that halfback, okay? There is a huge possibility that the X receiver could possibly take 2-4-1, okay? And the W receiver could be completely open, okay? And one thing that I went to Dartmouth about last year, and the receivers coach at the University of Dartmouth is Dave Shula. So that's Don Shula's son, the legendary Don Shula. Okay, and basically he was teaching this type of pattern to his players. Okay, and what they would do is they would start in stacked relationships, and for some reason the defense would always be in a pressing scenario, and he would just always teach the guy who was on the ball, who was running basically the corner route, okay, to take an outside release and to go attack, okay, the inside defender, okay? And he took 2-for-1, and this out route, this little out route was open all the time, okay? So I'm talking about this route right here because I'm going to talk about the feature pattern pretty soon. And basically, we had this route right here with the teams that I've coached for, and the one issue that arose quite a bit was, the X receiver, that boundary wideout, whatever receiver, they would just be inconsistent with, basically attacking the outside hip or the outside shoulder of that halfback, or just not having a good understanding of that play. Okay, so we had to develop something else that was going to be a little bit different. Another thing that kind of arose as well is we would get receivers, okay, the W receiver or that receiver who's running that speed cut out. They would ask us all the time, hey, can we do a little adjustment where if there's an outside low defender and he's playing zone right here, can we do a little adjustments just to kind of look back at the quarterback instead of running into that cornerback? Yeah. So these are the problems that arose. I'm going to show you just some of the clips right here of basically this route and some of the examples that occurred to us last year. And also, I think there's one clip of the Argonauts of the Argonauts from Toronto as well. So I hope everyone can see the film. One thing I've learned from these Corona clinics is at times the film can just be really choppy and really laggy. I've noticed from our meetings with our players, the one thing that really helps with film quality is actually if you just slow down the film. Instead of playing the film regularly all the time, just slow it down, and it'll really help out. So, guys, I'll be honest with you, you're going to see some good examples, you're going to see some really bad examples as well, okay? What we're going to do right here with this look, we're going to focus on these two receivers, okay? So the wideout right here, he is going to go and attack outside shoulder of this halfback right here. And basically, this inside slot right here, it's going to be him that's going to run the quick out, okay? First and foremost, if we're running this concept to the field, I like typically this wide out just on the numbers. So he could have started a little bit wider. He reduced the split. I'm not too sure what the play clock was at. Maybe he saw that it was running down, so he wanted to reduce the split immediately. Right now, when I look at this defender, he's about 7 yards away from the line of scrimmage, okay? So as we see right here, we see this receiver. One primary issue that I see is head is down. I'd like for his eyes to be up so that he can see this defender, and you'll see why in a second, okay? As you see right here, he's going to attack the outside hip. What we want to avoid is this defender coming over top, and we're going to see that. So we see the halfback comes over top like that. If this receiver had kept his eyes up, I would have really liked if he just stemmed outside of this defender and just really got in his way. This could have been a huge play. And as you see right here with this guy, the inside receiver, he does a good job of stemming inside. He's patient with the route. He's going to run his outbreaking route right here. Quarterback sees it. Nice, easy completion for a first down. Okay, we're going to see a play that's very similar right here. You're going to see a lot of clips against this red team right here. They run a defensive scheme at times where the cornerback, he plays a responsibility or a technique that's called MEG. That means man everywhere he goes, okay, when they play a certain type of zone defense. So we're going to focus on these two receivers again. Okay, what we're going to see right here is this wide out. I don't like his distance. He's too far away, from my opinion. I think he needs to reduce the split just a little bit more to get on that outside hip. He's too far away. As you see right here, the receiver is very subtle with his inside stem. Okay, he breaks outside. This rub is not good enough. Okay, he's too far away. I would have really loved if this guy was just a little bit tighter inside, and I would have really loved if this guy just had a nice little inside presence, or outside presence on this guy, excuse me. Okay, and again, if this corner fell off, okay, that's fine. This guy, if he recognized the corner falling off, he's in a good position to be open just over top of him. Unfortunately, we see that. A little bit late on the trigger, would have liked the quarterback to throw it just a little bit sooner. Okay, we don't complete the pass. Again, the same concept right here. We're going to focus on these two guys. Okay, as we see right here, this guy's around 6 yards. I like this. This is much better. Okay, this is good distribution. He's going to take that inside stem on the outside shoulder. Be careful now. We don't want to be physical. We don't want to be too physical. We don't want to give any reason for the refs to throw a flag for offensive PI. Okay, so you got to tell your receivers to make it look like a route. Okay, I always say all the time, try to be subtle with this route. Okay, good inside stem. Okay, his inside stem really keeps this guy inside. Okay, you're going to see with the quarterback, he's performing a zone read action right here in the backfield. This is just inside zone read. Okay, the quarterback got just a nice little look right here. He thought to himself, he's going to keep the ball. We have a little slip route with this guy right here, so he's going out to the flat. Now, the quarterback is supposed to be reading this guy. In my opinion, the guy's playing high. This guy's wide open. He should have thrown the ball to this guy. Fortunately, he was a little bit too slip happy. I call this little route right here a little slip route. Just got a little bit too happy throwing this route during the season. I should have done a better job of coaching or repping, trying to get looks where this outbreaking route would have been open during the week. So now we're going to look right here to this team. This is the Argonauts of Toronto right here in the Canadian Football League. My father coached this team last year. They're playing against the Alouettes of Montreal. So we're going to focus on these two guys right here. So we have Armani Edwards and another receiver. I can't remember his name. So we're going to focus on these two guys. They're going to run this rough concept. If you notice right now, look at the wide out and look at this technique, okay? With the 1 yard buffer, we recognize this as a pressing technique, okay? So I find that Armani is doing a good job of getting inside. So he has good eyes on this guy right here. And one thing you notice as well, okay, he's really subtle and he does a good job of getting outside of this defender. So he gets outside of this defender. I really would have loved if he just pushed that defender just inside just a tad bit more. He just gets a little bit too vertical for my liking. Quarterback sees it, and he throws the ball. This defender is so close for my liking. They complete the pass. They get the touchdown. I found this guy was just so close. Okay, so what could have been better for Armani right here if he just went and attacked. He does the good release outside. But if he just put a little bit of pressure into the guy and brought that guy towards that defender, it would have been ideal. So now with that all in mind, guys, we're going to talk about the option pattern, okay? The feature pattern that I'm here to talk about, okay? So this is a two-man combination right here with a nice little exchange release, okay? So with the X receiver, initially we told them when the halfback was low in that initial concept to come down the line of scrimmage, okay? With this concept, we're going to actually just tell them to come down the line of scrimmage no matter what. Into the boundary with a corner route, guys, I like to be around the numbers just to have that space right here into the boundary. If you're running it to the field, give him a landmark near the hashes, okay? So he's going to actually come down the line of scrimmage. He's going to get vertical with speed, okay? And basically, he's going to run a corner route, okay? So we tell our receivers, if there's a deep third outside defender, like a high cornerback, you're going to stay vertical. I'm going to show you another option that you can do that's really interesting. If the halfback plays high and there's no deep third outside defender right here, when he breaks towards the corner, we like to say bend and circle back towards the sideline, okay? The W receiver right here, okay, he's going to be second on the release, okay? It's really important that pre-snap, as he's moving towards that line of scrimmage, he's going to stay inside of this receiver. He cannot declare himself outside of the receiver just yet. We say with this exchange release right here, we tell the W to replace his feet, replace his alignment to where he releases, okay? As he gets vertical on his stem release right here, we tell him, and I'll just get to this next little page right here, we tell him a little technique called walk it out, okay? This receiver needs to understand that the quarterback is performing an action with the tailback, which is going to take time. Okay? If this guy goes too fast to his route, he's going to be waiting for the route, and it's going to allow for defenders to cover him up. Okay? So we like to say, walk it out. The technique, walk it out as well, it's going to actually help him to make a good decision. Okay? Now, with this concept, with the W receiver right here, what we tell him, okay? Now, there's two schools of thoughts about this, okay? My preference is a little bit unorthodox, but I'm going to show you why it works all the time, okay? We tell this guy right here, okay, initially when I was playing at University of Queens, my coach used to tell me, okay, you're going to read the low outside defender, okay? Within this example right here, we're going to say that the cornerback was low. So as this receiver was performing his route, okay, as he's performing his little walkout technique, okay, he's going to look outside and he's going to recognize that the corner is playing low, okay? As he's playing low, he's going to curl back inside, okay? My preference, guys, when I teach this route, I actually teach this receiver right here, okay, to read an inside defender, okay? A low inside defender or not, okay? So actually what I say to this guy is, as you're performing this route right here, keep your eyes inside, okay? If there's no immediate low threat inside defender, hook it up inside, okay? So this halfback is high. The will linebacker right here within this look, he's going to be involved with the run game action, okay? He's got to respect his gap alignment, okay? So we say right here, we try to give him a good idea of the distance between the will linebacker and his route right here. It's certainly easier when the halfback is playing low because that is truly a low inside defender, okay? So what I like to say all the time is read the low inside defender if there is one. If there is not, you're going to curl. If there's a low inside defender, okay, we're going to tell this guy to break it outside, okay? So with this action right here, if the halfback's going to stay low, as these two are exchanging stems, okay, and the halfback stays low, but the corner is now getting depth, okay, we're going to run the out-breaking route, okay? Another reason why I like reading the inside defender, at our level of football here, especially in our conference, we're not going to get too many teams that are going to spot drop, okay? If you're at the high school level, I would assume that most defenses are going to spot drop. I'm not too sure that most defenses play match, okay? When you play against defenses like match or teams that are going to pattern read, they're going to banjo technique, whatever the case may be, those guys are playing a technique that's a shuffle a shuffle drop or a shuffle step drop back technique with the shoulders inside, that can kind of get a little bit confusing. It's a little bit more simpler for this guy, okay, to understand if there is a low inside defender or not, okay? So that's the way I like to teach it. And I tell my guys all the time, you know, if there's a low inside defender and a low outside defender, I don't care. You're going to run your out route because if that's the case, if there's no one on top, that corner damn should be open, okay? So that's something that's really interesting. And with that right here, with the corner route, as he's running his route right here, keep in mind that the corner is also an option for us as well, guys. And it's the same read as the rub concept that I teach you guys. That quarterback, when he performs his action, he wants to get his eyes basically on that corner. And what is he doing? Okay, so if that corner is going to be aggressive downhill towards the outs, we're going to have that corner route. Okay, if that halfback, okay, he's going to stay vertical. He's going to press his inside threat, and if he's going to take time with that inside threat, he's going to forget the slot back receiver. Now with the corner route right here, at the beginning, what we did initially is we kept it really simple for him, and we said, hey, you're just going to run a corner route, and versus a deep third outside defender, you're going to keep going, okay? But later on in the season, and I'm going to show you one example, we started playing against teams that were playing cover 3 hold, where the halfback, when they saw this exchange release, guys, they knew it was this type of pattern. And so now when they played a cover 3 hold, this halfback, instead of putting hands on the X receiver, he would buzz out immediately. So instead of having this adjustment of staying vertical versus a deep third outside defender, we told the X receiver, if there's an outside defender who's playing high and he's occupying your corner space, okay, you're going to run just a 12-yard hitch route right here. And we're going to allow the halfback to go ahead and try to undercut this route. And there's going to be a nice little window right here, okay? Again, within most RPO schemes, okay, if you're reading one of the linebackers or even one of the backside defensive ends, one of the end men on the line of scrimmage, okay, you're going to influence one of these two guys right here, okay? So if it's an RPO scheme, a traditional RPO scheme, a second-level box defender, and this guy wants to be aggressive into the box right here, as you pull the ball and the halfback shoots outside immediately, there should be a nice little window for this route. Now, we ran this route right here with this little adjustment, okay, more so to the field when we performed zone read. Because as the quarterback was booting out, typically when the defenders recognized that the quarterback kept the ball, they flowed outside. So if we did that into the boundary, that would close up those windows pretty quickly. Okay, so now, like the corner press, we're going to show you a couple of right here. This is going to be the question I get most often is, what do the receivers perform versus man-to-man? Okay, so if it's man-to-man right here, we're going to tell these two guys, especially the W receivers performing one of those option routes, to respect the rules. If it's man-to-man and they're playing lock man-to-man, as the X receiver skates inside right here, this corner moves inside and brings all of his momentum inside the vertical stem of this route right here. And as he's performing the corner route, W now, as he gets outside, okay, he needs to understand that the corner now has become the new low inside defender. So he should run the outbreaking routes if that's the case. As he moves inside, okay, and the corner, he shadows him, but he stays outside shade. And now the halfback wants to bracket inside. The halfback remains the low inside defender, okay? So what I'm going to do right now, we're going to watch a couple clips of this. I'm going to show you different types of RPO schemes, what we did last year. You're going to see that we even mix some of the RPO schemes together. You're going to see some combinations of surface reads with zone reads. And you're going to see some softness reads with zone reads as well. Right here, what we're seeing right here, this is against University of Concordia. What we have right here is going to be an inside zone scheme to the left. We're going to zone read. The will linebacker jetted off the outside right here. Our 5 inside guys, our 5 big guys right here, they're trying to take 5 inside. So we give the ball. But if we look at these two guys right here, okay, what we're going to see right here is, okay, he's going to skate down. I would really like to just kind of get inside, but he kind of gets vertical and does the stem inside, so he does a good job of it, okay? Now, this receiver does a good job of recognizing that there's no defender inside, so he decides to curl it up inside right here, okay? So if the quarterback did keep the ball, we would read this defender, okay? Again, this is a layup, okay? If this is 1st and 10, we put the ball on the right side shoulder right here, and he catches the ball and knifes upfield, we could possibly get a 1st down. This guy's really aggressive. This guy has good leverage on this defender to go get a corner route. I'll show you a couple examples of that as well. Right here, we're going to see the Argos do it. We're going to focus on these 2 receivers right here. So we get the wide out. He's going to tighten his alignment down. He's going to run the corner route. Okay. The number 2, this is SJ Green. This is him that's going to run the concept. In my personal opinion, I would have argued that possibly the curl route would have been a better option. I think what he did see is that these 2 guys are soft, so he ran the out route, which is fine. At certain times, the receivers can be right, and you don't want to coach too much of it. If that's the case and he gets outside and he's completely open, that's great. So with the depth of these 2 guys who are playing really soft, it's really dealer's choice on his part. Quarterback does give the ball in this instance. Okay, we're going to see a good example right here of the quarterback throwing the corner route. Okay, so what you're going to see right here, this is a preseason game. This wide receiver is going to bring it. He's going to reduce the split to run the corner route. Okay, this receiver right here, he's going to get on the outside hip. As you guys see that, that's really important that he gets on the outside hip of that defender. Okay, we tell this guy all the time, trail the outside hip. We don't want him to stay inside. We want him to trail the outside hip of this receiver, of his teammate. Okay, this receiver is going to do a good job of understanding that there's no one inside, and he's going to curl inside like this. Okay, now this cornerback, he reacts really hard to this receiver's adjustment. With this reaction, the quarterback recognizes that, and he sees the possibility of throwing the corner out. This receiver did a damn good job of getting on the toes of this DB, and as you can see, I don't know what they call this technique right here, okay? But he gets on his toes right there, and as you can see, that's going to be a big completion towards that corner out. Okay? And now you're going to see an example right here of within the box right here, we're going to have a nice little counter play. This is going to be a GT counter. This is going to be a GT counter play action where the quarterback is going to boot. We're a team that loves gap scheme. We don't care. Everyone knows it. We're going to run it. We don't care. Okay. What you're going to see right here is going to see gap blocking scheme to the left. We got double tight ends right now. Our fullback who's aligned to the field, he's going to protect the quarterback by blocking the backside end man on the line of scrimmage who's unblocked. You're going to see this combination of the 2 routes right here, the feature pattern that we talked about from these 2 receivers. So what you're going to see right here is Christian, he's going to run the corner routes, okay? This receiver right here, he's trailing the outside hip of his teammate, okay? And he's going to recognize that there's no one inside, so he's going to break inside. He does a good job, okay? And like the previous clip that we just saw, the cornerback is playing heavy, okay? So Anthony did a good job of recognizing that. And Christian right here, because of the relationship of the exchange, we do a good job of winning the outside leverage of this halfback right here. So now he's going to break to the corner, and he has all that space towards the field right there. And it's really nice little easy pass for Anthony to complete the ball. So I'll just show you this angle right here, just so you guys can see the little action that we did with the guard tackle. So this is going to be the right guard, the right tackle. We're going to pull to the left side of the field. Our fullback is going to block. He's basically going to smoke block the number 91 just to protect the boot of the quarterback. Something that I find is really interesting nowadays as well, you see a lot of American teams, they do this little action with their tailbacks when there's a gap blocking scheme. It looks like a little bit of a toss give. I know Jacques spoke briefly about it at the end of his presentation. What we tried to do during the season is have a little bit of a zone read effect, but we taught the quarterback to actually bring his feet toward the alignment of the tailback. And when defensive ends see that, they get all sorts of fucked up and they have no idea what's going on. So what you're going to see right here is our quarterback is actually going to move towards the tailback. And as you can see, just check the reaction from 91. It just gets hard inside. And it's super simple for the fullback. I didn't like that he chased him inside, but hey, it works. I ain't going to argue with a big gain like that. Okay, what you're going to see right here is basically without a fullback now, this is going to be our guard tackle zone read right here. And you're going to see with these two receivers the rub concept or the featured concept that we just spoke about. So again, this nice little relationship right here. This receiver who's running the option route, okay, he's going to run the curl route right inside, okay, because there's no low inside defender. These guys are playing soft right here, so that's a nice little gimme, okay? Quarterback, when he was performing his action, he just saw that basically there's two outside, so he's going to give the ball. Gave the ball right here, and we got a nice little play right here on our GT counter to field side. And again, you're going to see similar action to the previous clip, guys. So just pay attention to the left guard, left tackle in conjunction with the quarterback and the tailback. Just check the quarterback. He's going to bring his feet towards the tailback. He's going to give the ball, all while reading the end man on the line of scrimmage. So basically, he's reading number 10 right here, who's on the end man on the line of scrimmage. And he sees that this guy's playing with good leverage, so he's going to give the ball. And that really is a big, wide opening for us. So we talked a little bit about surface reads. We ran this play in spring camp. This is when I introduced it, and the guys did a good job of it. I know I'm running out of time right here, so I'm going to try to hurry up. I like to leave some questions to the end right here, and I'm trying to do my best to do that. So what you're going to see right here is we start in a 3-by-2. Okay, we're going to motion to a 2-by-3. We're going to tell the inside receiver right here, he's going to run a nice little bubble route right here. We tell the quarterback pre-snap, if you see the rover adjust with that guy, you're going to play zone read, okay? So this is going to be inside zone to the left, zone read right here with that little concept that we just talked about. So as you see right here, with the depth of these two guys getting soft, this guy right here, I hope that he saw this guy and decided to run that. Okay, we get a little bit of lucky. These two guys play soft right here. Quarterback had kept the ball, and now he's throwing it to the outside right here, and this is going to be a nice little big gain. Again, this is spring camp, so we're going to see some heavy mistakes. First game of the season, we ran the same play. Laval was in their match defense. We started 3-by-2. Laval, again, they're playing in their match defense. Match defenses, they like to put, numerical disadvantages on receivers. The free safety is the guy that's going to adjust instead of this guy right here. But with the free safety playing at a depth of basically 12 yards, the quarterback right here, we taught him that if you get 3 versus 2 right here, you're going to abandon. You're going to abandon your action with the tailback right here, and you're going to throw your little surface screen, bubble screen out to the boundary right here. We pick up a nice little 5-6 yards. Yeah, I really wish that our receiver right here did a better job of that to block that guy, because just with the depth of this guy right here, if we had a good angle on this guy, it could have been a much bigger play. Okay. Right here, this is a softness read. These 3 receivers into the boundary are going to run curls. And what you're going to see right here, these 3 receivers, they're going to run a nice little freeze cadence. The quarterback did a good job of understanding the play. He wants to see if these guys are going to play soft. He wants to know pre-snap if he can abandon the mesh and basically throw one of these these little hitch routes. He doesn't like it. So what he does is basically he can perform his action. It's inside zone to the left, zone read. Now, this is a good example of man-to-man. So what you're going to see right here is this guy's going to lock up this guy. And as this guy takes his inside release on him to run his corner route, this guy essentially becomes the new low inside defender. And as you see this guy right here, he runs his little out-breaking route, and he is wide open. Now, all you have to do, my first-year quarterback, is just throw it outside right there. So much easier to teach it to those guys rather than it is to play for them, eh? What you guys are going to see right here, this is just a pro example of the same thing. You're going to see a softness read. It's going to be inside zone to the right with the concept right here that I just taught you guys. So basically, again, you're going to see SJ right here. He's going to run an out-breaking route. Because the depth is so high, he really does have a choice to run out or in, okay? The quarterback, with this look right here, as you see Armani Everett, he could have abandoned. If he had his eyes pre-snap on the defense, especially on these 3 defenders pre-snap, he could have abandoned the fake. He probably could have thrown this hitch route. He decides to keep the ball off the action right here, and he's going to throw the ball to SJ on the out-breaking route. Yeah, pretty good communication, pretty good chemistry. So that's pretty good gain right there. We're going to see the same thing right here. Nice little action. These 2 receivers right here, they're going to run the concept. These three receivers over here, they're going to run the softest read. So what you're going to see right here is hitch route. He's too tight for my liking. So is this guy. This guy's going to run just a little now screen, just to be depending on the situation. So if this was like a second and short, the quarterback could abandon the mesh, throw it out there, let this guy go be an athlete and go make this guy miss. You know, right here, he does a zone read action. Anyone plays really wide outside, so he's going to give the ball. But as you're looking at these two receivers right here, just check right here. You're going to see SJ. SJ was pretty good at this route. So he recognizes two guys playing soft, no guy inside. So now he's open. If the quarterback had kept the ball, this would be a good option. So this is the example of our hitch adjustment with our corner route. So you're going to see a couple of things right here. Into the boundary, first and foremost, we have a 2x3 formation. We have a nice little star alignment. That's a wide bunch for us. Okay. And we're going to do a little now screen into the boundary. We taught the quarterback, if you have a numerical advantage, go ahead, abandon your action, throw that little now screen into the boundary. But if not, play zone read the defensive end, the end man on the line of scrimmage, and go ahead and read this concept. So what you're going to see right here is Christian does a good job right here of reading the inside defender. Unda does also a good job. So what you're going to see is this defender is playing hard outside. The initial route that I taught you guys, this guy would just completely go straight if this guy played high. What you're going to see is Unda is going to do a nice little hitch right here, and he's just going to wrap quickly around this guy. Okay? I don't like that he gets in far inside because that free safety can be problematic. Yeah, I really would have liked if he was just sharp around the ass of this guy, because as you can see right here, this guy, he's in chase mode to go defend this route. If he was tighter and he played undercut of this route, Unda would be completely open. Unfortunately, we have a good separation right here. The ball just sails on us. And basically, that's all for me, guys. I'm just going to show you my last slide right here where you can contact me. Nice little contact info. Sorry. Nice little contact info right here. You guys can hit me up on email and Facebook, and that's my cell phone number if you have any questions or anything like that. I'm going to ask you guys right now if there's any questions. Just stop sharing this right here. I don't know how to do that. Oh, there it is. Okay. If there's any questions, please let me know if you have anything. Contact me. I'll get back to you as soon as possible. I know I got 2 minutes right here. I know another Queens alum is presenting just right after me, a Queens legend, in fact. So I'm looking forward to this presentation. But if there's any questions, please let me know. Check that out right there. Just see if I got a question. Curious about coaching points of the O-line. Is there any issues with alignment downfield? Sometimes there can be. I'll be honest with you, at our level here in the Canadian Football League, honestly, there's not a whole lot of issues. There's not a whole lot of calls of O-lineman downfield. Honestly, we get away with a lot of stuff, especially at our level. The refs at times, they can't be the greatest, and I don't think they necessarily have good eyes downfield. When we do zone read, we can climb up to the next level and we can throw downfield. I'm not too sure and certain about the rule, the exact rule, but last year we didn't have any questions. Last year we didn't have any too many issues with that. How to ensure QB and record on the same page? Well, basically the quarterback, he's going to follow his read. He's going to read that cornerback. So as he's coming out and he sees that cornerback is playing low, okay, based on the low inside defender, if that receiver, he runs inside, and let's say they're playing that cut structure where that cornerback is playing low and the halfback's playing high, and there's that nice little space right there. If that receiver's waiting on him to throw the ball and the quarterback has time to, go ahead, take it right away. I've never had an issue about quarterback and receiver being on the same page. Again, this is a play that I've ran since I've been playing at the university level. So, I mean, it does take a lot of reps for sure, and you got to be out there on the practice field with those guys doing those reps within, especially during special teams period. If you have any more questions, please hit me up whenever you guys can with my email. Again, I'll just my email was there for you guys.